What's happening internet, J Game Dude here, and how can I not talk about the all digital future without talking about how the Xbox 360 marketplace is going to be shutting down. So you can't actually buy any more Xbox 360 games after the marketplace is shut down, and this is very similar to the Nintendo eShop shutting down for Wii U and 3DS. You can kind of understand why I was going to say 360 instead of 3DS, and I'm talking about the Xbox at the moment, as well as the Wii Shop channel as well. So all of these generational shops are shutting down, and at the moment we're still lucky that even the PS3 store is still available, albeit that a lot of games have been delisted from there, which is really unfortunate, whether it be for whatever reason, like re-releases of older titles on newer platforms, or something along the lines of licensing due to music, art, whatever have you. Now, with all of that being said and done, however, it's worth pointing out that for the first time, for some reason, Microsoft is actually discounting about 60 or so games on their marketplace before they actually do shut the whole thing down, and a lot of the games are actually not really of any consequence. In fact, worth pointing out that none of the first party Microsoft games are actually on sale. It's mostly third party and smaller digital titles than anything else, which is interesting to see. And that is kind of interesting given that when you look at how many games have released per generation, the PS3 and 360 generation, there are actually a lot less games than there were in the PS4 generation, and the number has only ballooned a lot more in the PS5 generation because of how many people became game developers over time, but also the number of indie games that release on a per year basis. So even though the AAAs have taken much longer to release and there's less of them, the indies have been picking up the slack a lot. And so the indies, what the indies are now, are what the AAs used to be during the Xbox/PS2 era and the early PS3 360 era to some extent as well. So it's interesting to consider, but this is also a very solid reminder that because things are digital, nothing is forever, especially when it's digital. It's even less likely to be there because it's a lot more ephemeral, if you will. The fact that I could have a disc, and as long as I look after that disc will continue to work. However, if I play an online only game that shuts down, that's not going to work after the shutdown happens. And if I play a game that's digitally available that could be taken away from me at any point in time, it's even less likely to make me feel like as if I actually have something with me. Whereas I could like pop out a disc of Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, I'll have a great time. I kid you not, I could take out a copy of Sonic Frontiers, chuck that in, have a great time. I have what's it called, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, chuck that in, have a great time again. Like, it just feels good to have something with you. And I was just actually going to an EB Games that was actually near my workplace and realized, oh, like, stuff is being moved around. So I asked the staff, and the staff just told me, oh, we're moving all of our stock to other stores, and this store is actually going to shut down on Saturday, which is actually a couple of days from now. And so I was like, oh, that's unfortunate. But yeah, so that's really kind of, sad to see with physical media and the taking over of the all digital future, but keeping in mind that something like this is happening where the 360 marketplace is shutting down. And while it is not the most ubiquitous place to get 360 games, because physical was still a very heavy part of the gaming experience at the time, it's still worth keeping in mind that like we are still going to lose a lot of digital exclusive 360 titles that may no longer be purchasable moving forward from that point, unless you bought it before and it can still be downloaded. But to what point can those downloads even be accessed? Will those downloads still be there 10 years down, 20 years down? Again, PT is another very solid example of how games can be taken away and never be given to you after a particular point in which the publisher has decided, no, we don't want this to be in the libraries of other people, but it's still in our libraries, and if we try to download it, it just won't happen. It is just ripped from the store at that point. The old digital future. It's a fascinating thing. There's so many problems with it, and yet no one is looking to fix those problems. But as more time goes on, the more those problems that we face with digital distribution is being exacerbated further. It's just interesting, especially on the console end, whereas with PC, everyone is more so like, you don't want, DRM involved, because that's a preventative measure from being able to kind of own your games. The idea that Steam has the ability to make every game on their platform DRM free should Steam go down, under, if that were to happen, which is incredibly unlikely since they, have a heavy hand in the PC marketplace as a whole. So it's just, again, a very fascinating idea across all these things that I'm talking about at the moment in terms of how different platforms handle these sorts of things. Though with that being said, I am going to boot up my Xbox 360, see what's on the store, pick up a few games before the store shuts down at the end of July, because we're already like halfway through May as it is. So let me know if you guys are going to pick up any games from the Xbox 360 marketplace before the marketplace shuts down. Let me know what you guys think about the old digital future in relation to the 360 marketplace being shut down, and hell, an even more interesting question, how much longer do you think the PS3 store is going to last? Let me know what you guys think about all of that in the comments below. Like the video if you liked it, subscribe to the channel. I'm aiming for 200 subs by the end of the year, and with all that said and done, I do upload every day, so I'll see you guys tomorrow.